Hello everyone, we are Group 5 and now we will summarize Chapter 3, Building an E-commerce Presence. In this chapter, we focus on both small and medium-sized businesses, as well as much larger corporations that serve thousands of customers a day or even an hour. As you will see, although the scale may be very different, the principles and considerations are basically the same. We are going to go through 6 parts of this chapter. The first one, and also the first step when you think about building an e-commerce presence, is imagine your e-commerce presence. The second one is a systematic approach. The third part is choosing software, then you choosing hardware, and two last parts are other e-commerce site tools and mobile websites, mobile apps. Building an e-commerce presence is not just building a website or building app. It has so many things in the background, which we will be covering in this presentation. So the first step is that you need to imagine your e-commerce presence. You need to think about the question that what's the idea before you can plan and actually build an e-commerce presence. You need to have a vision of what you hope to accomplish and how you hope to accomplish it. The vision includes not just a statement of mission, but also identification of the target audience, a strategic analysis, a marketing metric, and a development timeline. It starts with a dream of what's possible and concludes with a timeline. For example, for Amazon, it's to become the largest marketplace on earth. For Facebook, it's to make the world more open and connected. The second question is that where is your money? Once you have defined a mission statement, a vision, you need to start thinking about where the money will be coming from. You need a general idea of how your business will generate revenues. Basic business models include portal, content provider, transaction broker, market creator, service provider, and community provider. The basic revenue model alternatives are advertising, transaction fees, sales, and um, service revenue. The next question is that who and where are the target customers? The most important thing for an e-commerce business idea nowadays is your target audience, because they are the people who provide you money, whatever your business models are. So the target audience should be very clear. Without a clear understanding of your target audience, you will not have a successful e-commerce presence. There are two questions here. Who is your target audience and where can you best reach them? About the competition, what is the marketplace like? You need to consider choosing the marketplace by asking questions. What are the features of the marketplace you are about to enter? Is the market growing or reducing in size? If it's growing, among which age and income groups? You need to know about the structure of the markets, competitors, and substitute products, then find out your key augmented feature of your products. Next, you need to know your company. You can analyze SWOT analysis to define the internal and external factors. A SWOT analysis is a simple but powerful method for strategy about your business and understanding where you should focus your efforts. Some other questions that you can consider are where's the content coming from, what's the budget and timeline, and so on. So here is some types of presence. We have websites, we have social media, email, and offline media. The second part is building an e-commerce presence, a systematic approach by Nguyễn Thu Trang.
Hello everybody, my name is Tu Chang and now I would like to present the part 2, building an e-commerce presence, a systematic approach. Building a successful e-commerce presence requires a keen understanding of business, technology, and social issues, as well as a systematic approach. E-commerce is just too important to be left totally to technologists and programmers. There are two most important management challenges. Number one, developing a clear understanding of your business objectives. And number two is knowing how to choose the right technology to achieve those objectives. The first challenge requires you to build a plan for developing your firm's presence. The second challenge requires you to understand some of the basic elements of e-commerce infrastructure. Let the business drive technology. So how to solve this challenge? If you are manager for a medium-sized industrial PaaS firm, how do you start to develop an e-commerce presence for the firm? So we come to the number two, step for building an e-commerce presence. Step number one, awareing of the main areas where you will need to make decisions. On the organizational and human resources front, you will have to bring together a team of individuals who possess the skill sets needed to build and manage successful e-commerce presence. This team will make the key decision about business objectives and strategy, technology, design, and social and information policies. You will also need to make decisions about hardware, software, and telecommunication infrastructure. The demands of your customer should drive your choice of technology. The customer will want technology that enables them to find what they want easily, view the product, purchase the product, and then receive the product from your warehouse quickly. You will also have to carefully consider design. Once you have identified the key decision area, you will need to think about a plan for project. Step number two is creating a plan document. In this step, we have 5 more small steps. Step 2.1, system analysis of planning. In this step, your role is identify business objectives, system functionality, and information requirements. In the system analysis step of SDLC, you try to answer the questions. What do we want this e-commerce site to do for our business? The key point is to let business decision drive technology, not the result. This will ensure that your technology platform is aligned with your business. One way to start is to identify the specific business objectives for your site and then develop a list of system functionalities and information requirements. Business objectives are simply capabilities you want your site to have. Step 2.2, system design, hardware and software platform. Once you have identified business objectives and system functionalities, you have developed a list of precise information requirements. You can begin to consider just how all this functionality will be delivered. You must come up with a system design specification, a description of the main components in the system and their relationship to one another. The system design itself can be broken down into two business objectives capabilities. You want your site to have system functionalities, types of information system capability. You will need to achieve your business objectives information. About in terms of the logical design, logical design describes the flow of information at your e-commerce site, the processing functions that must be performed, the database that will be used, the security and emergency backup that will be instituted, and the controls that will be used in the system. In terms of the physical design translates the logical design into physical components. For instance, the physical design details the specific model of server to be purchased, the software to be used, the site to be a telecommunication link that will be required, the way the system will be backed up and protect from outsider, and so on. Next is step 2.3, building the system, in-house versus outsourcing. Now that you have a clear idea of both the logical and physical design for your site, you can begin considering how to actually build the site. You have many choices, and much depends on amount of money you are willing to spend. Choice range from outsourcing, outsourcing everything, include the actual system analysis and design, to building everything yourself. Outsourcing means that you will hire an outside vendor to provide the service involved in building a site rather than using in-house personnel. You also have a second decision to make in-house. Will you host or operate the site on your firm's own servers, or will you outsource the hosting to web host provider? These decisions are independent of each other, but they are easily considered at the same time. For the in-house example, if you have some programming experience, you might decide to build the site yourself from scratch. There are about a variety of tools ranging from those that help you to build everything truly from scratch, such as Adobe Dreamweaver CC and Microsoft Visual Studio, to top-of-the-line prepackaged style building tools that can create as sophisticated site customized your needs. The decision to build a website on your own has number of reach. Given the complexity of features such as shopping carts, credit card, inventory management, and other processing, the cost involved are high as a risk of doing poor job. And conclusively, its selection has its own pros and cons. So that consider the company's situation carefully before deciding you will choose what type building in the system. And step 2.4, testing the system. Once the system has been built and programmed, you will have to engage in testing process. Depending on your size of system, that could be fairly difficult and lengthy. Testing is required whether the system is outsourced or built in-house. There are 5 main forms of testing that can apply. Number 1 is unit testing, that involves testing inside program modules one at a time. Number 2 is system testing, involves testing the site as a whole in a way the typical user will use the site. Number 3 is acceptance testing, verify that the business objectives of the system as originally conceived as a fabricating. Next is A/B testing or sleep testing. Involves so 2 versions of a web page or website to different users see which platform better. And the last one is multivariate testing, involves in identifying specific elements, creating versions for each element, and then creating the unique combination of each element and version to test. And the last step is 2.5, implementation and maintenance. Most people unfamiliar with system erroneously think that once an information system is installed, the process is over. However, while the beginning of process is over, the operational life of a system is just beginning. System breakdown for a variety of reasons, for most of them unpredictable. Therefore, they need continual checking, testing, and repair. So that's the on of step for you to can building an e-commerce smart present, specifically a systematic approach. And the next part will be presented by Nguyễn Thị Thu Trang.
Along with telecommunications, software and hardware constitute the infrastructure of an e-commerce presence. As the business manager in charge of creating an e-commerce presence, it's essential to know some basic information about both. First, simple versus multi-tier website architecture. Website software was appropriately quite simple, with a server computer running basic web server software. This arrangement is called a single-type system architecture. Many websites start this way. There are no monetary transactions. Orders can always be called in by telephone and not taken online. However, the development of e-commerce required a great deal more interactive functionality, such as the ability to respond to user input or take customer orders for goods and services. This kind of extended functionality requires the development of web application servers and a multi-tier system architecture to handle the processing loads. The next, web server software. All e-commerce sites require basic web server software to answer requests from customers for HTML and XML pages. Apache, which works with Linux and Unix operating systems, is the leading web server software. Apache is free and can be downloaded from many sites on the web. It also comes installed on most IBM web servers. Microsoft Internet Information Service (IIS) is another popular type of web server software. IIS is based on the Windows operating system and is compatible with a wide selection of Microsoft utility and support programs. The next part is site management tools. In Chapter 2, some basic functionalities of the web servers are described. Another functionality not described previously is site management tools. They verify that links on page are still valid and also identify orphan files or files on the site that are not linked to any page. By surveying in the links on the website, a site management tool can quickly report on potential problems and errors that users may encounter. Even more importantly, site management tools can help you understand consumer behavior on the website. For instance, web trends can be purchased in order to more effectively monitor customer purchase and marketing campaign effectiveness, and as well as keep track of standard hit counts and page visit information. About dynamic page generation tools. One of the most important innovations in website operation has been the development of dynamic page generation tools. Prior to the development of e-commerce, websites primarily delivered unchanging static content in the form of HTML page. With dynamic page generation, the contents of a web page are stored as objects in the database rather than being hard-coded in HTML. Dynamic page generation gives e-commerce several significant capabilities that generate cost and profitability advantages over traditional commerce, such as lowering main costs, permitting easy online market segmentation, allowing to approach different customers with different methods and prices. Dynamic page generation also enables the use of a content management system, CMS. There are a wide range of commercial CMSs available from top-end enterprise systems to mid-market systems. The next part I will introduce is application servers. Web application servers are software programs that provide the specific business functionality required of a website. The basic idea of application servers is to isolate the business applications from the details of displaying web page to users on the front end and the details of connecting to database on the back end. About e-commerce merchant servers software functionality. E-commerce merchant server software provides the basic functionality needed for online sales, including an online catalog, order taking via an online shopping cart, and online credit card processing. The first, online catalog. A company that wants to sell products online must have a list or online catalog of its products available on its website. About shopping carts, online shopping carts are much like their real-world equivalent. The difference is that the online variety is part of the merchant software program residing on the web server and allows consumers to select merchandise, review what they have selected, edit their selections and necessary, and then actually make the purchase by clicking a button. The last is credit card processing. A size shopping cart typically works in conjunction with credit and credit card processing software, which verifies the shopper's credit card and then push through the debit to the card and the credit to the company account at checkout. Merchant server software package. Rather than build your site from a collection of disparate software applications, it is easier, faster, and generally more cost-effective to purchase a merchant software package. An important element of merchant software package is the built-in shopping cart. While existing firms often have the financial capital to invest in commercial merchant software, many small firms and startup firms do not. Open software is software developed by a community of programmers and designers and is free to use and modify. Many e-commerce software platforms are now available on a software as a service basis, a model in which the software is hosted in the cloud and run by the client via a web browser. And the last part today I will introduce is choosing an e-commerce software platform. Some of the key factors to consider that functionality, including availability on an SaaS basis, support for different business models, including e-commerce, business process modeling tools, visual site management tools and reporting, performance and scalability, connectivity to existing business systems, compliance with standards, global and multicultural capability, and local sales tax and shipping rule. And the next presenter with of my team is Fanning Tu.
Now I will continue the presentation with other e-commerce site tools. I want to discuss about the first tool is website design, the basic business consideration. This is how to communicate with customers effectively through websites by minimizing their inconvenience. When they visit the website, and the company would attract both loyal and new customers. The next one is tools for engine optimization. We gonna search engine pages and search engine pages play an important role in the page traffic, and there are some ideas to improve search engine pages. We have meta tags, titles, and tag contents. We must use suitable description and keywords. Uh, other other one is identify market niches, offer expertise, get linked up by advertisement and local e-commerce. The next one is tools for interactivity and interactive content. Common Gateway Interface, also known as CGI, a set of communication between a browser and a program running on a server, allow for interaction between the user and the servers. And this CGI has some advantages like CGI programs can be written in nearly any programming language as long as they conform to CGI standards. And CGI scripts are also the best used for small, medium-sized applications that do not involve a high volume of user traffic. But it has some disadvantages like not highly scalable, or CGI scripts also face some security issues.
And next we have active server pages, also known as ASP and ASP.NET. It is Microsoft's original version of server-side programming for Windows. ASP enables developers to easily create an open record from a database and execute programs within an HTML page, as well as handle all the various forms of interactivity found on e-commerce sites. While ASP.NET first released in January 2002 and a part of Microsoft .NET framework is the successor to ASP. Next is Java Server Pages, and JavaScript. Java is a programming language that allows programmers to create interactivity and active content on the client computer, thereby saving considerable load on the server. While Java Server Pages, also known as JSP, like CGI and ASP, is a web page coding standard that allows developers to use a combination of HTML, JSP scripts, and Java to dynamically generate web pages and in response to user requests. JSP is supported by most of the popular application servers on the market today. And finally is JavaScript is a programming language invented by Netscape that is used to control the objects of HTML page and handle interactions with the browser. The next one is ActiveX and VBScript. Well, Microsoft invented the ActiveX programming language to compete with Java and VBScript to compete with JavaScript. And when a browser receives an HTML page with an ActiveX control comparable to a Java applet, the browser simply executes the program. The CoFusion is an integrated server-side environment for developing interactive web and mobile applications. CoFusion offers a powerful set of visual design, programming, debugging, and deployment tools. The most recent version of CoFusion provides enhanced ability to create mobile apps, as well as a number of new security features and programming language enhancements, as well as increased support for interoperability. And now we move to the PHP, Ruby on Rails, ROR, and Django. PHP is an open source general purpose scripting language that is most frequently used in server-side web application to generate dynamic web page content, while Ruby on Rails, also known as ROR or Rails, is an open source application framework based on the Ruby programming language, while Django is an open source web application framework. It is based on the Python programming language, and Django is optimized for the creation of complex database-driven websites. And we also have other design elements such as widgets and mashups. Next, we will discuss about personalization tools. Well, personalization and customization are two key elements of e-commerce that potentially can make it nearly as powerful as traditional marketplace. There are some methods for achieving personalization and customization, such as personalized web content if knowing the personal background of visitors. And the second one is analyze the pattern of clicks and sites visited for every customer visiting. The primary method for achieving personalization and customization is through the placement of cookie files on the user client computer. And the last one in this part is the information policy set. The privacy policy is a set of public statement declaring to your customer how to treat their personal information that you gather on the site should be developed. And accessibility rules is a set of design objectives that ensure disabled users can effectively access to your site should be established. And now Tùng Lâm will continue with the presentation.
I will talk about the last part of our presentation, developing a mobile website and building mobile applications. Firstly, what is developing a mobile website? Today, building a website is just one part of developing an e-commerce presence. Business today need to develop mobile websites and mobile web apps, native apps, or hybrid apps in order to interact with customers, suppliers, and employees. There are different kinds of e-commerce platform offerings to consider, each with unique advantage and costs. A mobile website is a version of a regular website that is scaled down in content and navigation so that users can find what they want and move quickly to a decision or purchase. For example, it's Amazon mobile site. A mobile web app is an application built to run on the mobile web browser built into a smartphone or tablet computers, such as Safari of Apple. A native app is an application designed specifically to operate using the mobile device hardware and operating system. Increasingly, developers are combining elements of native apps and mobile web apps into hybrid apps. A hybrid app has many of the features of both a native app and a mobile web app. Next part is for insight on society, design for accessibility. About 10% of the population worldwide has a disability that affects their ability to use the internet. As a result, the internet and mobile devices are unfriendly places for many disabled. So how should designers build in accessibility for the disabled? One tool for the blind is screen reading software. Embedding text description behind image is another example. Allowing users to set the color and font scheme also can make a difference for the visually impaired. And for those who are hearing impaired, they can access to closed caption video with subtitles. There is only limited selection of mobile devices with built-in accessibility features. The small size of the device screen and keypad presents its own problem. Web accessibility is not just a concern for web developers or a question of technical web standards, but is also a matter of government policy. Next part is planning and building a mobile presence. What is the right mobile presence for your firms depend on identifying the business object, and from this, deriving the information requirement of your mobile presence. The first step is to identify the business objective you are trying to achieve. Table 3.12 illustrates the thought process for analysis state of building a mobile presence. After you have identified the business objective, system functionality, and information requirements, you can think about how to design and build the system. Next part is mobile presence, design consideration. Designing a mobile presence is somewhat different from traditional desktop website design because of different hardware, software, and consumer expectations. Table 3.13 describes some of the major differences, and mobile presence has become so important. And other important trends in development the mobile websites include responsive web design, RWD, and adaptive web design, AWD. The fifth part is cross-platform mobile app development tools. There are hundreds of low-cost or open-source app development toolkits that make creating cross-platform mobile apps relatively easy and inexpensive without having a having to use a device-specific programming language. Here is some example of tools on the slide. And the last part is mobile presence, performance, and cost consideration. If you don't have an existing website, the most efficient process may be to use a mobile-first design philosophy and design a mobile site first. Alternatively, you may choose to build a traditional website using RWD or AWD techniques. If you already have a website that you don't want to totally redevelop, the least expensive part is to resize it to create a smartphone-friendly mobile site. Building a mobile web app is use the mobile device browser requires more effort and cost than develop a mobile website. And the most expensive part is to a mobile presence is to build a native app. If you want an intense branding experience with your customer, where interaction between your brand and customer is effortless and efficient, then native apps are the best choice. That's all of our presentation today. And here's the list of our member name. Thank you for watching.